Thank you, Kim. I appreciate that. As someone who constituent services and customer service is near and dear to my heart, Senator, I just want to tell you, you're off to a good start with your office here in Knoxville. I started bugging them in January before they even had a chance to get settled into their office. They came to a breakfast we had in January and started lining up this speaking engagement. And the senator was the first of the freshman senator to get all her offices open across the state. So kudos to you and your staff. Originally from Mississippi, the senator graduated from Mississippi State, went to school originally on a 4-H scholarship, and then worked her way through school selling books at the Southwestern Company. Eventually founding her own business, Marketing Strategies, which focused on retail, marketplace, and electronic and print media. She then began her career in public service in 1995 when she was named Executive Director of the Tennessee Film, Entertainment, and Music Commission. In 98, she was elected to the state of Tennessee's Senate. While serving at the Senate, she led a statewide grassroots campaign to defeat the proposed state income tax, which coincidentally was the year I moved here from California, so thank you very much. In 2002, she was elected to represent the people of the 2nd Congressional District and chaired the Energy Commission and the chair of the Energy and Commerce Subcommittee and Subcommittee on Communications and Technology, as well as bipartisan expertise in defending songwriters and performers' rights. Senator Blackburn and her husband Chuck live in Williamson County. They have 2 children, Mary Morgan Ketchel and Chad Blackburn, and 2 grandsons, originally from Laurel, Mississippi. I give to you our new freshman senator from the great state of Tennessee, Marsha Blackburn.
Absolutely so honored to be here with you today. I'm so pleased that we could make this work out. I will tell you, it is such an honor to represent you in DC every single day. And we're working hard as a delegation, working with Senator Alexander, and when I finish here with you, I'll be heading to do a meeting with him, and also Tim Burchett, who was my seatmate in the state Senate. And now to have him coming to DC is wonderful. Tim is doing a terrific job, and we were in a meeting together with Senator Alexander working on some TVA issues last week, and we appreciate having him there. Well, I've been a part of the Nashville Rotary Club for 25 years. My husband is a Rotarian. I say when you're speaking, it's important to leave your audience before they leave you. And in Rotary, I know that when you start heading toward 1258, the doors start opening and people start getting out so that they can be the first out of the parking lot, first out of the garage, and back to work. And I want to save a couple of minutes for questions, but it's just really a privilege to be here with you today. I will tell you this. I love what a humorist said about DC. It is 68 square miles bordered by reality. And many times that is why the story of the day, the shiny object that is out there, you'll listen to the news and you'll think, I wonder why they keep talking about that. And I have found it to be so interesting that the people of this state are really not interested in the story of the day. What they are interested in is the story of their lives and how policies end up affecting their lives. And this is one of the things that drew me as a wife and a mom and a business owner into public service. And I fully realize how decisions that we make affect your lives each and every single day. And it is why there is a consequence and a cost to every decision that is made in Washington, D.C. Sometimes it's opportunity cost because it takes away the ability of the not-for-profit or the private sector to address a need or to grow or to expand. And I kind of classify myself as an old school, pro-growth, Reaganite Republican. And I know that and appreciate that government does not create jobs. It is government's responsibility to create the environment in which jobs growth can take place. And certainly that is something that we're seeing happen right now. I like to use a formula that I think is so succinct and really classifies what we like to see happen with our nation's economy. And it is less taxation plus less litigation plus less regulation equals more innovation and job creation. Less taxation plus less litigation plus less regulation equals more innovation and job creation. And I know sometimes you all will say, oh, I wish President Trump would stop tweeting, or I don't like how he says this, or don't like how he says that. But I've got to tell you, what you cannot argue with, I was over in Chattanooga last night talking with a Tennessean, and he said, you know what, I don't like this, I don't like that, but I tell you what, you cannot argue. You cannot argue with the results that we are seeing with this economy. There are 3 million new jobs that have been created since Donald Trump took office, since January of 2018. 3 million new jobs. 60,000 of those jobs have been created right here in Tennessee. We have 3.1% wage growth. We have 57% of all Americans feel like that our economy is either excellent or good, 57%. Now let me tell you something that I found so interesting is those are not my numbers. Those are not the president's numbers or Republican numbers. Those are from Gallup. That is their polling. 57%. These are the best numbers we've seen since 2001. 69% of everybody polled said now is the right time to find a good job. We have 7.3 million job openings in this country right now. And unemployment across nearly every demographic group is the lowest that it has been. You know, in Tennessee, we're looking at 3.3% unemployment. Nationwide, that's 3.8%. So all of those numbers are very good. People are satisfied with where the economic growth is and where the growth in their personal financial future is right now. And repeatedly, as I am across the state in talking to businesses, small businesses, large businesses, not-for-profits, individuals that are working in so many sectors in our state, they say we need to keep this growth going. And I agree with that. And I think there are 3 things that we need to do in order to keep the economy growing and keep this productivity on the rise. One of those is we need to be rejecting socialism. Number 2, we need to get the spending and the budget under control. And number 3, we need to be leveraging technology that is going to be able to bring some efficiencies and some growth that maybe we had not predicted was going to be an efficiency or a growth. So those are the things that we need to have our emphasis on. Now, I will tell you, I think the most expensive 4-letter word in our language is free. There is no such thing as free. Somebody's going to be paying for this. And this is why it's important that we reject socialism and some of the ideas. Look at the Green New Deal that has been proposed. This is, in my opinion, one of these ideas that has a socialistic bent to it. When you look at what is embodied in this, ban cattle, so you can't go to Pal's and get a hamburger. It would ban cattle, ban fossil fuels and hydrocarbons, so no autos, no gas powered, no FedEx, no VW, no GM, no clean coal, no nuclear, no natural gas. All be gone. And for good measure, on top of all that, they want to throw in government-run health care. And it's not Medicare for all, it is Medicaid for all. It would be government-run health care. The cost, any of you know what the cost of this grand plan would be? $93 trillion.
Oh, wow.
$32 trillion just for the health care portion of it. It would cost American families $600,000 over a 10-year period to pay for it. Your per year increase in electricity cost would be $3,800 per year. So think about the cost of that. And when you look at that, you have to say, is this affordable? If you want all these things for free, is $93 trillion affordable? And I think you're like me, you're going to say absolutely not, because we already have too much debt. And that's the second point. We have to get the spending under control. Anybody know what the debt was when George Bush left office? 10.6 trillion dollars. And in 2010, Admiral Mullen, who was the Joint Chiefs of Staff chief, said, the greatest threat to our nation's security is our nation's debt. At that point, in 2010, our debt had risen to $14 trillion. Today, it is north of 22. Now let me ask you a question. How many of you have a grandchild or a child that was born this year? Raise your hands. Look at the number of hands. Your grandchild has acquired a $60,000 tax debt. That's their birth present, because that's what it is for every American, $60,000. That is their burden of our nation's debt. And when you begin to think of it in that terms, and then you think about putting another $93 trillion on top of that. I have two grandsons, and yes, they are UT fans. They're being raised right by their daddy, too. They're orange from their head to their socks. And, but I think in terms of the opportunity cost to them, and passing on this amount of debt is something that is not only a burden to our economy, but it is a burden to their futures. And I look at who owns our debt, and this is where Admiral Mullen was going. Out of our debt that is publicly traded, 30% of it is owned by foreign governments, 30%. Now, what if they call the note? China owns over $1.1 trillion of our debt. Japan, just over $1 trillion. Brazil and Ireland own $300 billion each. So what if those entities decide to call our debt? I will tell you, this is one of the reasons I have long supported a balanced budget amendment. It is why I every year propose across-the-board spending cuts, and I am so pleased that President Trump has taken that up, calling for a 5% across-the-board spending cut. And you probably didn't know, but he put his budget out last week. There were so many other things that were the story of the day that people were following. But in his budget, he has had several of his departments make spending reductions. Commerce is down 9%, Department of Agriculture is down 15%, Energy is down 11%, the EPA is down 31%, Health and Human Services, their budget is down 10%. This is the right track, and this is what we need to be doing to get our fiscal house in order. Now, to generate more activity in our economy, one of the things we need to be focusing on is leveraging technology and technology's efficiencies. During my time in the House, a lot of the work that we did was on expanding broadband into unserved areas. You cannot have 21st century education, economic development, or healthcare without access to high-speed internet. And this is one of the reasons that we are so given to closing that digital divide. And I will tell you, Governor Haslam did a fantastic job on working on this. Randy Boyd, as ECD Commissioner, did a tremendous job. And they started putting state grants in place to match the grants that I had led on at the federal level, putting money into rural utility service and making certain that it was our unserved areas that could utilize those dollars so that we close this. My understanding is that we're now down to about 15–16% of the state not having access to high-speed internet. What we do have to do is get the adoption rate up. And I'm really pleased that yesterday Governor Lee announced another $14.8 million in grants that are going into closing this digital divide. And we look forward to seeing an increase in this access and then the adoption of this technology in our rural communities. For you all specifically, I will say, as we talk about leveraging technology, Oak Ridge is going to play a bigger role in this. Our military, we're talking about hypersonics and the development of hypersonic weapons and in intelligence and surveillance and reconnaissance. We are looking at supercomputing and what that brings to the table. And I think we're all really, we feel that pride for the team at Oak Ridge who develops the fastest computer in the world. This is, as we look at artificial intelligence and how that is going to impact our daily lives, autonomous vehicles, how that is going to impact the way we access goods, the way we deliver, the way we move around our communities. Cybersecurity and the Department of Energy Cyber Project is out at Oak Ridge. The UT Battelle partnership that is there. This is something that is going to have a tremendous impact on our economic sectors and their growth here in this state. And sometimes people will say, Marsha, do you have a silver bullet? How we reinvigorate the community, how we get jobs growth. And I like to say, no, we don't have a silver bullet, but what we do have is a lot of silver buckshot. And we are going to do a good job of having growth in areas that are going to help us move this economy forward. I like to say every day I get up, I go to work on 5 things: faith, family, freedom, hope, and opportunity. And it's an honor to work on those issues for you. I'm happy to be here, and I'll be happy to take questions for however much time we have left.
About 10 minutes.
10 minutes?